Ever get that feeling you're stuck at a red light and it feels like it's working against you? Not just a long light, but like it wants you to be late.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, imagine that frustration, but like across an entire city. That's Santo Domingo right now. And it's not just bad luck or old tech.
Oh, this is way more than just traffic jams.
Today, we're going deep on this Dominican Republic corruption scandal and the heart of it all.
Yeah.
Traffic lights. You with me?
Absolutely. This is wild. We're talking potential rigged contracts, shell companies, maybe even illegal surveillance. All because someone wanted to modernize Santo Domingo's traffic system.
Okay, so where do we even start? We've got court documents, reports, the whole shebang.
Right. So the Dominican Republic's National Transit and Ground Transportation Institute, Intran, they're the ones who wanted to revamp the traffic light system. Big project, big money, you know how it goes.
And big projects attract certain types.
Exactly. So this contract, it gets awarded to Transcore Latam S.R.L. Problem is, this company, almost like it appeared overnight, and suddenly accusations are flying, rigged bids, shell companies, the works.
So someone's pocketing cash, and it's not the city workers fixing the lights.
Pretty much. And that's where our main character comes in, Hugo, the former head honcho at Intran. They're saying he's the one who made sure Transcore got the contract.
But it's never just one person, right?
Never. We've also got José Ángel Gómez Canaán, a.k.a. Jochi. He's got ties to a bunch of companies caught in this web.
So it's like a game of connect the dots, but instead of cute animals, it's shady businesses. What's Jochi's deal?
Get this, he was going around saying he represented an American company during all this. The thing is, this company, they deny any involvement with him.
Classic move. Make yourself look legit while doing shady stuff on the down low. But we got to remember, right now, these are still accusations.
100%. But the investigation, it's found some interesting stuff. Finances, communication records, people talking. It's not looking good.
All right, so we've got the players, the possible motives, the whole scheme. But what about the traffic lights themselves? Did they even work?
That's where it gets even crazier. What Transcore actually installed. Nowhere near what they promised. We're talking huge differences between the contract and what's actually on the streets.
So cutting corners to line their pockets.
Could be. But some of these differences, they're not just about money, they're technical issues. Mislabeled equipment, using radio frequencies that weren't supposed to.
Okay, I get mislabeling is shady, but the radio thing, why does that matter?
Think of it like this. Those radio waves, it's like having a party line, and suddenly there's a bunch of people shouting all at once. Interference, disrupted systems, and with traffic lights, that's dangerous.
Chaos on the streets. So not just corruption, but safety's at risk too.
Exactly. And here's the other thing about those frequencies, it makes them easier to hack. Someone could mess with the whole system, not just traffic jams anymore, but real danger.
Okay, so we've got potentially dangerous tech, shady deals, and a bunch of people who don't care about the rules. What happens next?
Well, just as the authorities are digging into all this, things get really interesting. The traffic lights, parts of the system just go dark.
No way. You're messing with me. Like straight out of a movie.
I know, right? Authorities think this was sabotage. Someone wanted to stop the investigation, maybe even destroy evidence. The PEPCA, that's the Specialized Prosecutor's Office for the Persecution of Administrative Corruption, they're the ones on the case. And they are not messing around. They're going through all those financial records, communications, witness statements, the whole 9 yards.
This isn't some parking ticket, that's for sure. What are we talking here if they find these guys guilty? A slap on the wrist?
Oh, no, this is serious stuff. We're talking corruption charges, fraud, misuse of public funds. This could be huge fines, even jail time.
And what about the companies? Transcore and those other ones, Aurix and Inprosol, what happens to them?
Their reputations are definitely going to take a hit, that's for sure. This kind of scandal, it's not good for business, contracts dry up, people don't trust you. Could even be legal action on top of everything else.
It makes you think this goes way beyond just a few people being shady, right?
Yeah.
If people in the Dominican Republic, where there's already been corruption issues, if they lose faith in the whole system, that's a problem.
100%. Things like this, it just erodes the public's trust. They start wondering, can the government do anything right? Can they handle money responsibly? It's a slippery slope.
It's just sad, you know. Intran, they're trying to make things better, improve the city, and now it might have made things worse.
It really shows how bad things can get with corruption, how it can just worm its way into anything.
And those traffic lights going dark, that's just creepy. Makes the whole thing feel even bigger, you know. What are investigators saying about that?
It's a major development for sure, because it points to obstruction of justice. Someone may be involved in all of this. They shut the system down remotely to cover their tracks, maybe?
Bold move, I'll give them that. Any idea who might have done it?
Still under investigation, but they're definitely taking a close look at the usual suspects, especially anyone who knew how to make that happen, the tech side of it.
Man, this is deeper than I thought. Every time we think we've got it figured out, there's another twist.
That's how it goes with these things. You start with what looks like a simple case of corruption, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. More players, more schemes, it just keeps going.
Speaking of more players, what about the whole surveillance thing? That's a whole other level of messed up.
Absolutely. It makes you question everything about privacy and what people in power might be doing.
So what did they find about the surveillance?
They found a whole bunch of PTZ cameras, you know, the ones that can move around and zoom, all over the city.
Not your average red light cameras.
Nope. And they said it was for security, vandalism, monitoring traffic. But come on, that many investigators weren't buying it.
Especially with Jochi involved. The guy who's shady with companies, now he's running a security company. Fishy.
Totally. And the investigation, it's showing that Jochi might have had access to live feeds from those cameras.
Whoa, hold up. So he could see what was happening all over the city in real time.
That's what it looks like.
Okay, now that is straight out of a spy movie. Who was he watching and why?
$1,000,000 questions, right? One theory is blackmail. Get dirt on people, use it for his businesses.
Corporate espionage, juicy.
Right. But there's another possibility. What if this wasn't about money, but about politics?
You mean spying on rivals, people who disagreed with him?
Exactly, and that's scary stuff. Imagine if he had that kind of power, could he influence elections? Silence critics. It's a dark thought.
This is getting intense. We're not just talking about traffic anymore, but about power and freedom and who gets to control information.
You got it. This whole case shows just how important transparency is. The government has to be accountable, especially when it comes to technology.
Makes you think, if Jochi was able to do all this, what else is slipping through the cracks?
That's a question we should all be asking. And not just about the Dominican Republic, but everywhere. Technology's moving fast, and we need to make sure we're keeping up.
Man, so many questions. But one thing's for sure, this story's not over. And the next chapter, it's a doozy. We're going international, folks. Drones, German companies, the whole bit. Stick around. So we've got potentially rigged traffic lights, shady companies, maybe even a whole surveillance network. And now we're adding international intrigue to the mix. Drones. Germany. This is getting out of hand.
This is where things get really interesting with Jochi. It's like he thought, you know what? Traffic cameras aren't enough. I need my own spy tech.
Hold on. So he went full on James Bond.
Pretty much. He gets a hold of like a dozen drones from this German company, Globe UAV GmbH.
Okay, drones are cool and all, but what was he doing with them? Delivering pizzas.
Funny, but no, that's what investigators wanted to know. Drones for security, for surveillance, that's not unusual, but Jochi, he wasn't exactly official.
And this is where his Ministry of Defense buddies come in.
Bingo. They found an agreement. Jochi's security company, Aurix, and the ministry. Basically, Jochi got to use their authority to fly those drones legally.
Wait, so he was using the government to spy on people?
Uh-huh.
Under the cover of, what, national security?
If that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. Who's watching the watchers?
This whole thing is like something out of a movie, but it's real life.
Mm-hmm.
A private citizen with that much power? Scary.
It shows how technology is always a step ahead of the rules. Drones, especially the fancy ones Jochi got, powerful stuff. In the wrong hands, it's a recipe for disaster.
Did the drone company, Globe UAV, did they know what was going on?
Good question. So far, no evidence they were in on it. Doesn't seem like they knew about Jochi's plans.
Still, you got to wonder, are these companies being careful enough? Especially selling to someone like Jochi in a place with a history of corruption.
Big time. We need better rules about this stuff globally. Drones are everywhere now, and we can't just assume they're being used for good.
So what happened to the drones? Did Jochi ever use them?
They haven't found proof. Not directly. But people who knew him, they said he bragged about those drones, what they could do.
Sounds like he had it all figured out, didn't he? Traffic cameras, drones, the whole shebang.
He did, and that's what makes this so unnerving. This wasn't some small-time operation.
And man, what started with traffic lights turned into this huge thing about power, technology, corruption, the works.
It goes to show we can't take anything for granted. We gotta pay attention, ask questions, and hold people accountable, especially when it comes to technology and power.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This deep dive, it's been a wild ride, from traffic jams in Santo Domingo to international intrigue and high-tech surveillance. It's a lot to process, but the big takeaway: stay curious, keep asking questions, and don't be afraid to dig a little deeper. We'll see you next time.